Hey guys, Johnny here again with another video for you. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's. You got some steps done, you took part. Hopefully, I know the weather hasn't been great, but you have got outside and just done a little bit of exercise. It doesn't need to be nothing massive as long as we can get you moving and start building that routine up. We had the habits that hopefully you started last week with the drinking of the water. We're going to build upon that again this week, and hopefully the tips that we give you and the fitness challenges give you a pretty positive week. So we're going to do very similar again. We're not going to go through everything as we did last week. Hopefully you all know the routine now. We'll send a document out along with this, but we're going to start with them habits again. So again, the idea is that we're building upon each one slowly each week. So last week we started with the drinking of the water, the 1 glass first thing on the morning. This week we want to build upon that. If you struggled with that alone and you just kept forgetting or for whatever reason, then you want to stick with that for another week. You only want to progress a habit when you've comfortably done the first one. So if you have comfortably done that, then this week we want to aim for, throughout the day, hitting 1 litre of water. So for some people, that's going to be less than what you're drinking anyway. So you definitely don't want to drink less, but we just want to think of that as a minimum. This is, again, something that we want you to be able to do comfortably. 1 litre isn't that much. I think that's about 750 ml bottle there. So it would be something like one and a third of those would comfortably cover it. So if you know you're going to struggle with that, using something such as the bottle so you can easily track how much you're drinking is a big help. Or just marking down the fact that if you're drinking 250 ml glasses, just tick off every time you've drank one of them until you've done 4. So we really need to be eventually getting up to bigger numbers. I think I mentioned last week 2.5 for male, 2 for females, pretty much standard, but it does obviously there are a few variables. But to begin with, everyone can benefit from getting at least a litre of water into them a day. So that's what we're going to do for this week's build upon last week. I will give you a new one in a second, but just to reinforce the habit, if you like, some of the benefits you're going to get: improved health. Obviously, I think it's over 80% of the body's water, so obviously we need quite a lot of it. Everything's going to function better when you're drinking more water. For one, you're going to feel leaner as well. So it's quite contradictory, but if you drink more water, you actually retain less. When your body doesn't know how much it's going to get, or you're not putting enough into it, your body tends to retain water and you'll feel more bloated. By drinking more, you'll naturally feel leaner. So that's as good a reason as any to start drinking more. But another one, performance-wise, I think I touched on it, the dehydration. When you're exercising, it's going to impact your performance if your body gets to that point when you're still working out. So making sure you're fully hydrated beforehand. Waiting until you're actually thirsty is going to be too late. So we need to make sure we're not getting to that point by drinking plenty of water. So hopefully there's a few reasons to motivate you to stick to that one. So this week's new habit, a little bit different in terms of I don't want you to focus on this every day to begin with, but it's tracking food. So what we're going to do is just pick 1 day of the week to track your full day's worth of food, writing it down on a bit of pen and paper. You can track it in a notes app on your phone. You can use MyFitnessPal or other food tracking apps. And it doesn't matter about the calories. We're not going to focus on that just yet. I just want you to be aware of everything that you're eating and drinking, unless it's water. You don't need to track. Well, actually, for the last habit, you will be tracking that. But for this new one, we are focusing on all the calories that you're actually putting into your body. A lot of the time, people struggle, especially with weight loss. The fact that they're not aware of everything that's going in. They think they might be eating well, when in fact there's all these other little bits of food that they're eating throughout the day that aren't accounted for. You just forget about them. It could be like having a couple of lattes a day for example, you might not forget about them. You might just be focusing on the food, but there is calories coming from that. It could be just grabbing a few sweets when they're there. Obviously, you forget about that within a few minutes. But throughout the day, these things do add up, and you tend not to be aware of them unless you are writing it down. So there are studies showing that just the fact of you writing down what you're eating in the day without having any plan in place, just writing it down, you will lose weight if that's your goal. And if your goal's performance based, you want to be a better athlete, a better runner, you want to lift heavier weight. Again, being aware of how much protein you're eating is a big one, especially if you are lifting weights. If you're running, you want to be making sure that you're eating pre and post workout. All these things that you might not take note of unless you are tracking it. So it does seem like a lot and contradictory to the start small. But the fact we're only doing this 1 day per week to begin with, and it's not something that you want to do long term, but if you do have some health and fitness goals, getting started with this will really help. So just pick 1 day of the week, write down everything that you eat throughout the day. You can either do it at certain points of the day, so I wouldn't recommend doing it all at the end because you can forget things, but if you do it, say, to morning, lunch, and then evening, just keep track of everything. Or every time you have a bit of food, just grab your phone out, grab your notepad or whatever, and track it down. If you like doing it and you find the benefit, then you can start doing it more often. We'll progress these on as the weeks go on. Try the apps if you haven't used them before. You might prefer them. Otherwise, if you know you're not too clever with the tech side of things, just get an old-fashioned pen and paper. And it's just the fact of seeing it written down, everything that you've ate. You likely will shock yourself the first time. Most people do, but it does get results. So that is going to be this week's habit of the week. Okay, tracking your food. So that's that one down. Let's get on to this week's fitness tip. It's actually going to be nutrition based, this one. So again, on the theme of weight loss, it doesn't have to be for that reason, but especially this time of the year, 9 times out of 10 people want to lose a bit of weight, whether that's being a long-term goal or it's just a bit of Christmas weight that they've added. So it is a good time to get this one out there. So it is just making some healthy substitutions. Nothing drastic. We're not trying to do a big overhaul of the diet. It doesn't last if you do that. But if we can find a few, I'll go through a few examples, but there are countless options available for you to just make these little tiny changes to the diet, which through the course of the day do add up. And it could be the difference between you staying the weight that you are now or losing a pound a week. If we cut by 300 to 500 calories a day by these little changes, which is definitely achievable, then that's going to be enough for you to start losing weight consistently. So what do I mean by healthy substitutions? So an easy one, I think I mentioned in the last section, is if you're drinking something such as lattes, or it could be any sort of fancy coffee you typically get from Starbucks. I know a lot of people are working from home at the moment, but if you've got a coffee machine and you make lattes regularly, little things like that, which you could substitute just for a regular coffee, an Americano style, you can, if you're having 3 of them a day, you could potentially cut 500 calories just on that. If you look at the calories when you're in a Starbucks or online, you can check. Some of them you're talking 400 or 500 calories per coffee. So if you can cut that back, so an Americano, which is basically just however much milk you have in, is the calories, you can lose weight just on that alone. So some other ones I've got down there, cutting sugar back in your coffee. If you normally have one spoonful, if you cut that by half, for example, then you're going to, throughout the course of the day, depending on how many you have, you're going to cut some calories back there. Not a massive one on its own, but if you put a few of these together, they do add up. And as I say, if you can get up to 500 calories cut without making any big changes to your diet, then that's a win-win. It's going to get you your goals and hopefully done by as little stress as possible. So another one is switching out some rice for cauliflower rice. Now, you might not be a fan of this. It's not my favourite food. So what I tend to do if I'm switching it is have half rice, half cauliflower rice. And it's basically, cauliflower rice is hardly any calories at all. And there's also broccoli rice, which is very, very similar texture, but again, barely any calories. And if you like it, then you could totally switch that for your rice. Whether you have say 250 grams of rice, you're talking 300 calories, so potentially more. So you can make a big saving on those. So there's another one. We've got if you drink full fat Coke, change to diet or Coke Zero or whichever one you prefer. That again, it's going to cut calories, and especially on fluids rather than food. I mean, no matter which one you're having, whether it's the coffees or the Coke, it's not actually filling you up. So by cutting the calories out there, you're not going to be any more hungry by doing that. So they are always that's always the first place I would start when you're trying to make these little cutbacks. So another one, depending on what your favourite alcoholic drink is. I know a lot of people are doing dry January at the minute, but if you're typically a wine or a beer drinker, you're going to be taking in a lot more calories than if you were drinking gin and tonics, something like a spirit with a low calorie mixer. And again, if it's just like you like a glass of wine on an evening, that's not the worst thing. But know that the more that you have, it is quite high on calories. And if you were to put in context of a night out, or when you are trying to have, like when you are having a drink in the house and you're having quite a few of them, you can rack up 1,000 plus calories quite easily drinking wine and beer, whereas the gin and tonics, you're talking less 50 to 100 per glass, which is nothing really. So even if it's just switching a couple of them, doesn't even have to be all the time, it's going to make a difference. So just another one to think about. Doesn't have to be that. Any other spirits, they are going to be lower in calories. Evening, so a lot of people like snacking on the evening. It can be tough. So a few options. If you typically like crisps, normally one of my go-to things. If you switch out crisps, things like Doritos, Pringles, if you look on the back of them, for how much they fill you up, they're ridiculously high in calories. If you can switch that for things like low-calorie popcorn, there's a few low-calorie crisps that are available at the minute. Just switching your high-fat ones to the low-calorie ones, you're still going to get a nice treat, but it's just not going to be nowhere near as bad for you. Other ones, you might have seen the low-calorie ice creams have got really popular now. There's the Halo Tops. Ben and Jerry's have their own one out now. So if you typically like ice cream, switching to the low-cal ones from the regular ones, you're talking less than half the calories. Ice cream's typically really, really high, and the low-calorie ones, half a tub, you could be talking like 200 calories, which isn't a lot at all, really. So there's plenty more of these. I went through quite a lot of examples there, but just go on Google, have a look, and just get creative. You can check on MyFitnessPal if you've got it, what the calories are for all these different foods as well. So there's plenty on there. So guys, those hopefully have helped you out there. There's a lot of ways that you can start making healthier choices with your food, and obviously it is gonna, if generally the healthier options are going to be better for that waistline, which is always going to be a good thing. So now for the fitness challenge that we're going to do this week. It's a 5-day fitness challenge. So the way that we've set this up is you've got 5 days to do this in. It can be any 5 days of the week you want. You can have a rest day whenever you like. And we're going to do a different exercise each day, and you've just got to track how many reps you do of that exercise throughout the day. So some tips with these, you could first thing on the morning think, right, I'm going to do 10 minutes, some rest in there, but say pick a number and try and do, I don't know, 15 reps per minute for 10 minutes. And then that's a little bit of exercise done. You could do, if you're watching TV, adverts come on, you can do two minutes. For example, the first one, we're going to do squats. You could just do 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. Just keep track of it throughout the day. And once you've got your first day in, just make a note of that. That's your first score. And then on day 2, whether that's exactly the day after, you could have a rest day. We're going to do a different exercise, and we've got 5 different ones, all bodyweight exercises. You can do quite quickly. You don't need equipment. And by the end of the week, the winner will be the person with the most total reps throughout the week. Okay, so the movements we've got: day 1, squats; day 2, sit-ups; day 3, jumping jacks; day 4, lunges; day 5, burpees. So some easier than others in there. If any of these movements give you any discomfort at all, then just sub them for one that you've already done. So for example, if you get any knee pain, for example, doing lunges, then you could do 2 days worth of sit-ups. Or same goes for squats. If for any reason you can't do any squats because there's a leg exercise, then you could do another set of jumping jacks, which isn't too hard on the legs. So I'll go through the demos in a moment, but that is the challenge for this week. So here we go. So guys, exercise 1, squats. So your body weight squat. Feet flat to the floor. Push the hips back and down, and you're trying to get your hips below the knee. So hips back, down, stand it up. Okay, so you see it's a pretty easy movement. If you're bored, you might be on hold on a call, hopefully not at work, but any time where you think, oh, I've got a couple of minutes to kill, just get them out, write it down, just keep a notepad handy or use your phone, whatever you need to do, and just try and get them reps in and then get a good score on day 1. Second one we're going to do is sit-ups. So your sit-ups, feet on the floor. I like to do them knees pushed out. It helps work the abs more, but people can do them with the knees together. That's absolutely fine. If you struggle with a sit-up, if you lock your feet under something, so for example, I could use a chair like that to lock the feet under, and that just gives a bit of leverage. You could also pop something heavy on there, and that just helps keep the feet planted so they're not coming up as you do the rep. So we're going. Hands touch the floor, hands touch the floor in front. Like so. That's your sit-ups. Exercise number 3, jumping jacks. So your jumping jacks. Like that. So I can't quite see on the camera there, but the hands are touching together at the top at the same time as they go out. So the jumping jacks are a good one because they're not as tiring on the legs as the squats or lunges. They're quick to do, so you can, just a little tip, if you want to really get some big numbers, try and really focus on getting a lot of jumping jacks in because they're a lot quicker to do than most of the others, especially the burpees. So that's exercise 3. Now number 4, lunges. I'll show a few options on these. What I'm trying to do is get the knee to the floor and then push back up. Drive off the front leg, back to the start. So lunges are a great exercise because when you're working your legs individually, you build up the stability muscles, which are around the knees and the ankles. If you always do things with both legs together, if you've got one stronger than the other, it's always gonna stay stronger. By working them individually, you build up one at a time. So that would be called a forward lunge. The reverse lunge is another option where we take back, and this time we're pushing off the back foot. Push off the back foot, knee to the floor, drive up. You can do whichever one you want. You count each rep, each leg as 1 rep, okay? So left leg 1 rep, right leg 2, and so on. So 1, 2, 3, okay? That is day 4. Day 5, everyone's favourite, burpees. So yeah, you don't want to rely on trying to get lots of reps in on this one, because it's the one that people like the least, and it is one of the tougher ones. So what we're doing, chest, thighs to the floor, up, little jump there. We can also, you don't need to just drop down, you can step down, let yourself touch the floor, stand it up. So they are a really good exercise, because the burpees, they're a full body exercise. You're getting the chest and shoulders working when you're pushing off the floor. You're getting your legs working when you're jumping up in the first place. So no wonder they do tire you out as much, because your full body is working. But the other good thing, you do get a lot of calories burned with these. So naturally this is going to be one of the ones with the lower numbers throughout the week. So maybe choose that one wisely, what day you want to do that on. There's no right or wrong day. We're just trying to get 5 days throughout the week, whichever one you want to do it on. So guys, same again, if you have any questions, any requests, anything you liked, anything you don't like, then please drop me an email. I'm happy to hear any questions and help you out as much as I can. Okay, have a good week guys, all the best, bye for now.